our brain is constantly searching for threats. Or maybe something as simple as this dude's about to poop his pants, and it will use these schemas even if they hurt you. Communication is difficult, man, especially when you're fighting against somebody's opinions because people are so deep seated into their own opinions that they will dig in their heels every step of the way. So, how do we circumnavigate around that to be able to give people the information? Because I know when I'm trying to maybe give some sort of a recommendation that would benefit somebody, or even trying to coach my kid into doing things that would benefit them a lot more, it's hard to get around their opinions. So, if you understand how opinions are formed, it definitely helps take the burden off of the guesswork of trying to get things working when you're just fighting all these safeguards that other people have put in place. And as well, it also works with you just the same. So if you have certain opinions or beliefs, it's hard to get out of your own way in order to get to the next step, because if there's something holding you back from success, you want to be able to get around that as effectively as possible. So what's actually going on in your brain when you or somebody else reacts to something? Well, there are these things called schemas, also known as paradigms, and they are mental filters that are put over the world, and it's the lens that everything passes through. So schemas are generally built in three different ways: from early childhood to repeated experiences to what you were told about yourself and the world. The reason why your brain defaults to these schemas is because they're efficient. Into your brain, reliability beats accuracy, and it will use these schemas even if they hurt you. And why that becomes a problem is a lot of people are going around in life and they feel like the world is a certain way, but they don't realize that they are seeing the world through their own schema. It's kind of like looking at the world through a dirty windshield if you're in a car. Because if your windshield is smudged, the whole world looks dirty. But it's not the world, it's what you're looking at the world through. Once that filter's in place, it's really hard to catch it from happening, unless you know what you're looking for. So how do these schemas or paradigms or filters play out in your life? Well, there's this story that I always heard that always stuck with me, where there's a man riding on a subway and he notices that there's another father across the way and he has two boys. And the father's kind of keeping to himself, his head's down. He's aware of what's going on around him, but he's not really reacting to anything. And at the same time, his two kids are running amok. They're running up and down the subway, hooting and hollering, grabbing at people's papers, just getting completely rambunctious. And the man looks at this father as if he's a bad dad, and he's thinking to himself like, well, can't you control your kids, man? Like, what the frick is wrong with you? So this goes on for a little bit of time until the guy actually gets up enough courage to talk to the person. He goes, hey, do you mind calming your kids down a little bit and maybe having a little bit more control over what they're doing? To which the guy responds, yeah, no, you're probably right, I really should. It's like, they've been cooped up in the hospital all day. We actually just got back. We're going home now, and their mother ended up passing away, and I guess they don't really know how to deal with it emotionally. Like, I don't even know how to deal with it emotionally right now, so I guess they're just acting out the only way that they know how. But you're right, I should probably do something about this. And instantly, that reframe is what made the first man completely change the context of the situation, because he was seeing the world, what was going on, through his filter of this guy is a bad father. And then once he got the added context of what was actually going on behind the scenes, it completely changed his whole outlook on everything that was going on. So if you're able to reframe your schemas, that's when you have a paradigm shift of the world. So schemas sometimes get challenged by accident like this, but what happens if you actually start challenging the schemas in your own life on purpose? Well, I have done this numerous times in many different categories. One huge one was I was a big proponent of road rage. When people drive erratically or they drive unsafe in my eyes, I am the type of person where if somebody is driving erratically, my first urge is to take them off the road, like put them in a ditch, which is not freaking smart. So I had to realize how to get around this. So I always try to reframe it like the man in the subway, where if there's somebody driving erratically, I think, well, maybe he's rushing to the hospital. Maybe his wife is in labor. Maybe he has somebody in the car that he needs to get to the hospital. Or maybe something as simple as this dude's about to poop his pants. And being able to reframe everything in this way allows you to take yourself out of the situation a lot more, because you're not assuming. Because a lot of the times when we have an opinion on something and we are really dead set on it, it's because we're assuming something. We're assuming intent, or we're assuming how people are reacting to what we have done, and we put a negative connotation on this because our brain is constantly searching for threats. So if it's constantly searching for threats, it will make these assumptions that will put your brain in a somewhat state of fear, so you react in a way that protects yourself. But seeing as we both know now that that never helps you, we have to figure out a way to get around it. So how do we actually clean the windshield that we stare at the world through every single day? And the easiest way to do this is to start challenging your own opinions. So let's start off by asking, how do opinions form? Well, first of all, the biggest ones, the ones that carry the most weight, are things that have happened to you directly. So something has happened in your life that you deem as bad. Now you hold a negative opinion of this, and you carry that opinion with you, because this is what is going to safeguard you going forward to make sure that that bad thing doesn't happen again. Second, opinions are formed by what you are told over and over. So from your parents, your friends, the news, everything going on around you, every group that you're in. Most of the opinions that you have or that other people have, somebody else handed to them, usually before they were old enough to question it, until you have this big mountain, which becomes an identity. And once you have this identity, it's harder to get over this hill that's constantly staring you in the face. And then third, it's what gets reinforced. So as I said, once you have these opinions that turn into an identity, the brain is going to constantly look for stuff that reinforces this identity and these opinions, and will skip over anything that says otherwise. And that's because an opinion doesn't stand still. It gets stronger every time something confirms it, whether it's true or not. And let me give you an example of how this played out in my life. So over the past couple of years, my wife and I have been trying to take my son through all the different Hollywood movies that we grew up with, and all the really good ones. So we were thinking about different movies and brain racking, and then she recommends Reign of Fire, the Matthew McConaughey dragon movie. And instantly I go, that movie is fucking stupid. Like, I don't want to watch that movie. They spend the first half like arguing over potato famine and blah, 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 blah. And it's a lame movie. And then I stopped and thought to myself, well, hold on. When did I even see that movie last? Looked it up, came out this year, did the math. I would have been 18 years old. Like 18 years old, you're telling me that I'm holding on to an opinion that I made when I was 18? Now, I love past me, I love all of me, but 18-year-old me, I don't know about you, but that guy was a fucking moron. I would not take any advice with him. So why am I taking an opinion about a movie that I watched when I was 18? So instantly I was like, you know what? Let's challenge this opinion. Let's give Reign of Fire a watch. So now at 40 years old, watched Reign of Fire, go all the way through it. At the end, I was like, that was a fucking awesome movie. I'm so glad I challenged that opinion. And then everything, if there was anything that brought up a negative reaction within myself, I always made it a point to challenge that opinion. And that's what I think that a lot of people are really going to benefit from, is to challenge anything that when something happens and you get that feeling inside you, that sort of feeling is a clue and a cue to be like, okay, I should actually look at this a little bit more closely to find out exactly why I have this feeling when this comes up. Because when you do this, two things are going to happen. 80% of the time, or at least this is what I felt, 80% of the time, I was able to completely change that opinion of something, which is really good because you are emptying out your mental backpack, man. Because when you're carrying around all this negativity and something comes up that makes you feel like shit, if you can get rid of 80% of those rocks that are weighing you down, your life gets a lot lighter. But then the other 20% of the time, you'll find that you will challenge one of the opinions, realize that, you know what, I still hold this opinion. This opinion still is very relevant to my life. It's what I feel, and this is how I'm going to feel for the next little bit until I challenge it again. But doing it this way, even if you keep your opinion, you have challenged it to the point where generally you can see the other side of the argument now. And while you are not changing your opinion on the subject, you're a lot more diplomatic about it. So challenging your opinions is great for you, but when you are dealing with other people and their opinions, how do we really get, like if we're trying to teach somebody or give somebody a recommendation or something, how do we make our words land when normally they would fall on deaf ears? Well, in the terms of speaking with schemas, everybody has this huge package that they have created for a filter for what they see, right? When they do this, realize that every single word is now attached to an opinion or a feeling. So when you say something, you might mean it one way, but depending on their schema, they will hear that word and think something else. And there's so many different words that do this. One of them, a great one, is discipline. For one guy, discipline could mean structure and growth, whereas to someone else, it could mean fear and punishment. So you have to really analyze the words that you're using and make sure that the other person understands your intention behind all these words. And I found this a lot with being a parent and talking to my kid, because I'm talking to him about stuff, trying to teach him about the world. And I say this whole thing, and he's sitting there, he's nodding his head and stuff. And I was like, he doesn't have the context for a lot of these words that I'm using. So I paused for a moment and I am like, do you understand what I'm saying right now? Do you understand what I mean when I say these words? And he goes, nope. I was like, well, weren't you going to tell me or anything? He's like, just letting you do your thing. Once we get those definitions down, now when I explain something to him, he's like, oh, okay, like I understand the context behind what you're trying to say now. So that's why saying something with good intentions can completely land wrong with somebody else, because you say one thing and they hear something completely different. But like I said, the opinions to challenge the most are your own. And the easiest way to do it is the ones that get a physical reaction. If something happens and you get that physical reaction, like the heat in the face, the tightness in the chest, anything that makes you go, ugh, that is the exact time when you need to take that feeling, sit with it a moment, and question it, because you might be surprised with what you find. Thanks for watching the video. If you got something out of it, hit like and subscribe, all that good stuff. YouTube is going to pop up a video on the right that it thinks you're going to watch next. So if you need something to watch, give that a watch, and I'm sure you'll like it. And until next time, keep moving forward.